Welcome to Health Matters with Dr. Nelson Bulmash as he takes a fresh look at today's most interesting health topics with functional medicine's leading doctors and experts. Learn how to feed your mind, exercise your body, and nurture your spirit in the way nature intended. Catch him live every other Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Over the next hour, we'll introduce you to some fascinating people and engaging discussions that may provide you with answers to assist in revolutionizing your own personal health. And now, here's Dr. Nelson.
Hey everybody, Dr. Nelson Bulmash here. I am the host of Health Matters on the UI Media Network. It is a pleasure to be here. And wow, once again, how crazy. Snow in Galveston, Texas. Need I say more? I think somebody said the last time that happened was in the year 1900. I haven't fact-checked that, so I don't know if that's correct, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, by the way, you folks in Galveston, the pictures, spectacular. Snow covering the sands leading right up to the ocean. Listen, though, I'm being a little silly, but at the same time, how unbelievable that it snowed all the way to the coast of Texas. I don't even know what to say. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for somebody to say, "Congratulations, you just passed Jumanji level 7." And I want somebody to tell me as soon as the aliens come, because I don't know. I don't think there's anything that would surprise me anymore. I think that we're seeing anything and everything imaginable. This seems almost biblical to me, and I'm not typically that guy, but wow. Snow in Galveston, Texas. Anyhow, I hope all of you down there on the coast, I know I've spoken to a lot of my friends in Houston and the outlying areas, and you indicated that you didn't have power. I'm really sorry. I hope you get that cleared up as quickly as possible. I know I've lived in the north and where we've had horrible storms come through, even in Georgia. Believe it or not, a lot of people around the country don't understand that a lot of the times we can have the outskirts of the hurricanes that come up, and we might not get the wind damage necessarily, but or necessarily as much rain, but we've had plenty of bad storms come through here where we get, from major city to get several inches of rain or even sometimes over a foot of rain over the course of 2 or 3 days, and down power lines and the tornadoes that come with it. I know what bad storms are like, and we've had times where I would guess we had, well over 1 million people out of power at various times. So I'm there with you in spirit. I hope you guys get power back on, and I hope you get the food and water you need, because I was just told by my guest, who I believe is from Houston, that you have another storm coming through, which is just insane to me. 2 storms within a week, that area starting tonight or tomorrow. So I wish you Godspeed at getting your power back on, getting the food you need, getting whatever you need to be safe. I want everybody to be safe. So speaking of that, and speaking of being in overwhelm, I want everybody to take a deep breath, as I just did, and calm yourself, because I have an amazing guest, and we're going to have a blast. Her name is Anand, and she left her career as a computer engineer, you heard me correctly, at Compaq, who was later bought by HP, Hewlett Packard, and decided to follow her passion for helping people through cooking, food, photography, and nutrition, and created her business, Heartful Earth Cuisine. As a personal wellness chef and essential oil coach, Anisha strives to inspire and empower people to promote their health and wellness with food and the power of plants with essential oils, herbs, spices, and vegetables. I have seen her meals. They are sumptuous and yummy. Anisha, before I even bring you on, I want you to know I must eventually taste the amazing meals that you make. I'm sure you have the fountain of youth somewhere in there. Her goal, by the way, is to bring back the power to reach your wellness goals back into your hands with food as medicine in your own kitchen. Anisha believes that nutritious food can help us stay healthy and can also help us heal and recover. By working with individuals and families on their health goals, she incorporates key nutrients and ingredients in her custom recipes, workshops, and meal plans for each client and family to focus on their individual health needs. Anisha's idea of downtime, of course, is cooking, recipe creation, walking outdoors, yoga, reading and learning and exploring cuisines of other cultures, and learning about other cultures and history while she travels the world. Anisha, Anand, welcome to Health Matters. It is such a pleasure to have you on my show today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nelson. It is truly my pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. And how are you doing? You're right down in the, I was going to use an oxymoron here and say in the heat of it all, but it's not heat. It's, I always associate heat with, you're in Houston, right? Or the outlying area?
Yes, I'm in Northwest Houston, and yes, we have a lot of snow outside today. It seems surreal to look outside my window and see this winter wonderland, and I'm grateful to have power today. And I know a lot of my friends and family don't have that today. So I'm hoping things will improve soon.
Here's the crazy thing. Anisha, what would you say the average temperatures in the Houston and outlying area this time of year? I mean, are you 50s, 60s?
Yeah, I mean, we get down to 30s, 40s for a couple of days, but usually it's 60s. When it's 60s, we're cold in Texas.
Right,
and,
right. I mean, I saw these pictures, this gorgeous picture, and I know that my friends down in Galveston are like, gorgeous nothing, Nelson. We want this out of here. Come on now. But the pictures look so beautiful. The snow literally going up to the ocean line, blanketing the beaches. It was so incredibly beautiful. And yet I know that you poor folks down there, like, you're sitting back going, what? This is crazy.
It's crazy. It's beautiful and yet crazy. And also hard for families who have been without power for over maybe 36 to 48 hours now.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing, Anisha, it's scary. I have been in situations where I had no power. And I remember one of the big storms going through, and I don't think we had freezing temperatures, but the temperatures were cold enough that we felt like we were freezing in the days when I lived in an apartment and we had no power and no light. And we were, my kids, my wife and I had candle light, right, to allow us to, to work. We had no power. We couldn't cook. We had nothing. And I remember like it taking some real intestinal fortitude to be calm and because I didn't want my kids to panic. I made it fun, like we were out camping. Let's light some candles so we can read, and this kind of thing. But deep inside, it was like, man, this is how are we gonna how many blankets can you put on a bed to keep warm when it's in the upper 30s or 40s, right? That's cold enough. But you guys, I think it's even colder there, right? You're still in the 20s.
Yes, I believe so. I think our high is going to be just under freezing today, and our low is probably like 10 or 12 Fahrenheit last night.
Wow. So. Oh, my gosh. Well, get some food, get that power back on, and stay safe, please, Anisha. Okay?
Yes.
Hey,
yes,
listen,
definitely.
I want to talk to you. You have one of the coolest, I think, careers, I'm going to call it. Like you have one of these woman-made, and I mean that, in such a great way because you express such creativity. Right? You're a personal wellness advocate and chef. It doesn't get better than that to me. That's the spirit of creation and human mastery at its best. So tell me, what exactly does a person do who's a personal wellness advocate and chef?
So I didn't make that title up. I do like making up my own titles because it helps me provide my passion and gifts to the people who need it. As a personal wellness advocate, I am usually telling my clients that I'm here to be your partner. So I'm here to share resources, just hold your hand, cook your meal for you, teach you how to cook, whatever you need. Just see me as your partner, and I'm here to be your guide. It's in that moment when they feel that, okay, I don't even know where to start or what do I even do? It's just about talking through things and finding that place where we can think clearly, finding that place of calm.
Right. That's beautiful. Tell me this. When people look for you, Anisha, what are they looking for when they employ the services of somebody who's a personal wellness advocate? What kind of place are they in and what are they looking for? What do they hope to get from working with somebody like you?
That's a really interesting question. So, I guess thinking from their perspective, and I usually ask them, what made you come to me? Why did you choose me? And why are you choosing to put your trust in me? And I like to hear that answer so that I can help them better. And most of the times, people have come to a realization that they want to move forward in their wellness journey, and they know that they need to do these things, and they need help with it. So just a simple example, we have busy families, everybody's overwhelmed, and the mom would like for the whole family to eat a healthy meal every night.
Right.
And it's so simple. I just want my kids to have a nourishing meal with lots of vegetables and good nutrition. And I don't have the time to make that for them. So how do I get there? And of course, I do offer in-home chef services, but there's only so many people I can help that way. But
Right.
That's where we start. And I say, okay, here's what we're going to do. And, then I go through my whole process with each family or individual.
So how do you prioritize? I mean, here's what's so fascinating about who you are and what you provide. I see you as that person who swoops in when a person or a family are all overwhelmed and they don't even know, Anisha, where to begin. How do you prioritize where to begin with an individual or with a family to get them kind of up and running more fully again?
My focus is always on them and what their priorities are. So I usually do a one-on-one call or even an in-person meeting with them to understand where are they now and what is the next step that they wish to take. And so their priorities will actually come from them. It's just a matter of me trying to understand them. So maybe their first priority is as simple as, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want my kids to eat vegetables, or I just want to be calmer
Right.
At the end of the day, or I just want to be able to sleep better. And how do I, where do we start? And so it really depends on what their priority is, because sometimes it's hard for me to know what they're going to focus on first. And sometimes they don't even know that. But I think having that discussion opens up a whole lot of possibilities for them. And I think it becomes clear to both sides, them and me, where we're going to go first.
That makes a lot of sense. So in other words, you've done this with a lot of people, I'm sure. And so you sit down, and probably the first thing beyond connecting with them, of course, that you have to do is get a sense of where their overwhelm is. Where are they overwhelmed in life, and how you can meet them wherever it is that they are. You had some really good points. It might be like, Anisha, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't get a good meal in me during the course of the day. I want to at least start with getting a good meal for me or me and my family, or maybe that they're so overwhelmed. I mean, you have to have superhero powers doing what you do right now. You could not have picked, Anisha, a more difficult time to do what you do. You're amazing to me, because when in your life have you ever had such stress regarding, all of the goings on in the world currently? And I'm going to have you think about that for a quick second, because believe it or not, Anisha, I told you this was going to go fast. We're already at our first commercial break. So when we come back, folks, I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're listening to another edition of Health Matters. My guest is the amazing Anisha Anand, and she is the business owner of Heartful Cuisine. We're going to talk about where you begin to help get a person to actually know where you can enter their lives and help them get up and running again in life when they're completely overwhelmed, as a lot of us are right now. We'll be right back, folks.
This is Kurt Arsenault of Arsenault Advisory Group. Most of us never think we'll get divorced. Unfortunately, half of marriages will end in divorce. Children are always the first priority, but getting your finances in order will need to be addressed. The first step is to get an assessment of where you are financially. Will you keep your home? Do one or both of you have a 401k or pension? Who will pay for the kids' college education? Will you split your debt liabilities? These are just a few things to consider when thinking about divorce. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com and download our free ebook titled 6 Things to Do Before You Get Divorced. Don't wait. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com today.
All right, folks, I'm back. Anisha, so let's jump back in. I want you to have a moment to think about that. So, in other words, when people, like, there's just, normally in life, I'll give you a great example. So I'm a chiropractor, naturopath, and nutritionist. And before all of the pandemic and everything related to that started, Anisha, people would come in and they'd say, Nelson, I'm having some headache problems. Nelson, I strained my low back moving a chair that my wife wanted me to reposition the office furniture. Or I was, deadlifting at the gym the other day and I strained my low back. So it was like compartmentalized. It was localized. It was usually one variable. You and I have a heavy science background, right? And so it was one variable. Nelson, help me get my back working again. Nelson, help me get rid of the headaches. Nelson, help me have more energy. Nelson, teach me how to eat better. Life seemed so simple before the pandemic. Now I have people come in, Anisha, and I'm not kidding you. It kind of goes like this. Nelson, something's wrong with my right big toe, and I'm having left knee and left ankle problems. I don't know what's going on. My hip isn't quite right on the left either, although my right one's not so good. Got a lot of pain in my low back. Now my mid back and upper back are starting to lock up, and I got neck pain and headaches. And I look at him and I say, good God, how long have you had this much trouble? Well, Nelson, we've been in quarantine for 9 months. And so people are coming in, and he's just like doing multivariable calculus. And of course, what I'm doing here is I'm thinking what it must be like for you when, yes, people are confined to their homes. So you got all the craziness of people being stir crazy from being in their house, their apartment, wherever they're located. And they don't, I'm speaking to so many people who don't want to take the time to cook. They're too overwhelmed emotionally. You got, everything happening politically. You got all the crazy environmental things happening. How do you sort that out to even be able to get to a person to really have okay, we're going to start here conversation?
I hear you, and I hear all the people say similar things. It's like the world is collapsing, the sky's falling, the ceiling's coming down on my head kind of feeling every day for families and for individuals. And I say we are not even going to do the calculations. As an engineer, forget the spreadsheets, forget the calculations. We're going to go back to basics. What can you tell me about yourself that takes you back to a calm place where you can actually breathe? And that's where essential oils and aromatherapy comes in. So when they're unable to take themselves back to that place, we can start with just taking that one drop of oil in the palm of your hand, taking 10 deep inhales with your eyes closed. So if they tell me that they like being in forests, we're going to start with a tree essential oil like black spruce or eucalyptus.
Beautiful.
And just start there. It's just going back to the basics. If they feel comforted by flowers and gardens, we're going to go back and say we're going to use a flower oil like lavender or jasmine or rose or geranium and just do those 10 deep inhales. So everybody has experienced aromatherapy in their lives. We just don't realize it. We peel an orange. We're experiencing the aromatherapy from wild orange essential oil, from the peel of the orange.
Yes.
We've been in a forest. We've smelt the roses. We've smelt spices in the cinnamon spice cake, that somebody baked in our family.
Right.
So all those are calming to our senses. And we already know how to calm ourselves from those aromas. It's just a matter of putting that in your daily routine by using that one drop of oil.
Wonderful. Beautiful. I have to share a funny story with you. So many years ago, and I'm dating myself a little bit, this could be 25 years ago, I had a bearded gentleman enthusiastically walk into my office. And he said, is the doctor here? And my wife said, he is. Who are you? And he said, my name is Dr. Rob Cass. And I don't know if you know who Dr. Rob Cass is. He's he's been around, I don't know if he's been around 50 years, but he's certainly been around 40 some years in functional and integrative medicine. And he's brilliant with herbs and homeopathic remedies. And he came in my practice. He'd heard about me, evidently. So Dr. Rob Cass is world renowned. He teaches during non-pandemic times. He's traveling all over the world, right? And so he was the person who walked into my office one day, and I had a moment, and I shook his hand. He said, "Hi, I'm Dr. Rob Cass. Have you ever heard of me?" And I said, "No, I have no idea who you are." And I didn't. I'd never heard of him, right? So here he starts talking, and I realized this guy's really bright. He really knows what he's talking about. Well, so I took one of his courses, and I'll never forget this. He was an amazing teacher, and he loved to use stories because he always remembers stories. And all these quarter of a century later, Anisha, I still remember the story. He said, when I said to him, how do you navigate? There are hundreds of products, herbs and spices and homeopathic remedies and detox remedies and all these different remedies. I was looking at this apothecary that was so huge, I couldn't even comprehend the enormity of how I'd get started with it. And he said, "Let me make it really simple for you, Nelson. When you first start, you use about 12 basic remedies." 12? Okay. I said, "I can get around 12 remedies." And he said, "Then you get pretty good, and you might triple that. You might use maybe 36. And then he said, and then when you get really good, you use 12 remedies." Mm-hmm. Meaning, if Anisha, when you don't know what to do, you always go back to basics. I love that you said that. Because people can do basics. I was kidding when I said multivariable calculus, but not kidding.
Right.
Meaning life right now for a lot of people is lived like we're living from a place of calculus, meaning very complex. Mm-hmm. But what you said was so beautiful, and you're so right on target, because when life gets that overwhelming, you go back to the basics. Let me just take a deep breath. And that starts you. It starts to calm you. And then, as you stated, then you can use an essential oil that brings you back to a time like maybe where you were walking through a beautiful, calm, peaceful forest. And so taking people back to the basics, that's such a brilliant answer. So perfect. Thank you for that, Pearl. Let you continue. So you get them to a place where you have what I call an entry point, Anisha, and they can start to suddenly breathe. And we know with breathing, there comes more energy. So you're more invigorated and you're more calm. What do you do from that point? Where do you go with them?
So now we're past the, I'm not breathing part. And yes, I believe these essential oils are helping me. So then they're basically telling me, what can we do next? So I don't even have to ask them. They're coming to me and saying, we want more. We want to learn more about this. What else can I do with this? And so I feel that they're coming to, yes. So we talk about where they want to go, and I'm going to help educate them. I'm going to help find the right resources that they need to take all the next steps. So now they can tell me what the real problem is, and the overwhelm part has been put in the background.
Beautiful. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Anisha.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was done.
Yeah. So in other words, when you start handling these basic things, the people begin to realize, whether it's conscious or unconsciously, that their recovery is better. Their mood is probably better. They can think more critically about resolving the overwhelm issues. That's wonderful. And then they're really enrolled more in their own process. Where can we go from here? I love that. So you're also a mentor.
I guess you could say that. It's kind of a big word for me. I prefer saying partner or, just their educator or their guide.
You're very, very, very humble, and I love and appreciate that about you. But you're mentoring them in an area that I call lifestyle management. So one of the things that you're so effective at is you're really good at centering people, bringing them back to the basics, and helping them understand from a basic but very effective manner that they can manage themselves much more easily, and it's not so overwhelming. So I know you love essential oils, and we can go more into that too, but I want to hear about your cooking, because there's something very grounding, Anisha, to me. And you're one of the most grounded people I know, and I know that there's a wholesomeness that you get. You're very anchored, you're very balanced, and you're very grounded. And I know that that's part of why you love cooking so much. You love to grow things from the earth and then use them to create not only more health, but to draw in all of the beauty of the herbs, the spices, the root vegetables, and all else that we grow from the earth and what that gives us in the world. I want you to talk about that. I love to hear you speak about that specific issue.
So when it goes back to cooking, I think growing up as a child, almost everybody in my family cooked, and I think I learned by watching them. And we had a little garden patch that my grandmother maintained, and I literally would have gone to the garden and plucked fenugreek leaves and cooked them. I think that's the first time I remember doing that. But I still have that memory, and I think subconsciously I apply that to my food. I will say that I am not good at growing stuff. I can barely grow herbs. So that's the reason why I love my farmers, because I have this huge amount of respect for the work that they do and the food that they grow organically without using, chemicals. And they protect the soil, they protect the plant's nutrient levels so that when we get the food, it's as nutritious as it can be. So going back to the gifts of the earth, the vegetables and the foods, right, or even animals that are living on the farm and eating the same vegetables. When I'm trying to create a recipe, I have the person in mind who asked me for the meal, what do they need, and then kind of focus on how can I make this pleasing to every sense. So, we eat with our eyes and our nose before the food ever enters our mouth. So right, it must look good. It must smell really good. And of course, it must taste good. And then, of course, it must nourish the body. So those are kind of the criteria I go through with when I'm trying to cook for somebody or create a cooking class for them. And then, of course, remembering that choosing foods from a local farmer are going to benefit us more, because my farmer is going to give me vegetables that were grown with love in an organic soil.
Absolutely.
And they were harvested that morning. That morning is when they were harvested, and that night they're on my plate.
Incredible.
It doesn't get better than that. And I know that's the ideal situation, and we don't always get there, but that's what I feel that we should aim to eventually get there at some point.
Anisha, I really agree with you. And, you're one of the things that I always get when I speak to you is you put, as an engineer, you have the engineer's mind. And so the gift that you bring to us is you have the science, which lends the understanding of connectedness of things. And you're so brilliant when it comes to connecting the dots. And I see it in everything as you express it visually and as you say it, it comes together for me. And of course, one of the things that I just really appreciate is I'm very big, as you know, in all of us existing as a courtesy, as John Muir said in the 1800s, all things exist as a courtesy for each other. And so we'll take a commercial break here in a second, but I never forgot, that was one of the most inspired quotes that I ever heard. Because if you live from a place that you're here for me and I'm here for you and we're here for everyone who's watching and learning from our discussion, you realize that we all provide such value intrinsically. We have value. We all have gifts, and we bring this together. You get this beautiful network that allows us all to thrive. And it's so beautiful. I appreciate that you cherish the work that farmers do, because farmers are the unsung heroes. I mean, without farmers, we don't live. They provide us with what sustains us. Folks, we'll be right back. We're going to take our next commercial break. Thank you. I appreciate your wisdom, Anisha. I'm speaking to Anisha. She is the founder, I love this, of Heartful Cuisine. That's so beautiful to me. We'll be right back, and we'll talk more about what she does, which is to be a personal wellness advocate and chef. Listen, because in a moment, we're going to talk about some of the hacks or ways that you can use to help improve the quality of your life when you're overwhelmed by the myriad of different stressors that many of us are currently going through at this time. We'll be right back.
It's time to wake up, Atlanta. Wake up your inner self to the power of your intentions. Wake up to co-create the life you desire. Wake up to a conscious way of looking at the world with the uncensored Shannon McVeigh and the conscious voice of the South, Tim Ray. Tune into Awaken Atlanta on the UI Media Network, sponsored by the United Intentions Foundation, and discover a whole new way of looking at the world as we bring to you everything from wellness to entertainment, motivation to current events, games, contests, prizes, and much more. Listen to us on Spreaker and watch us live on Facebook at United Intentions every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. You can follow us on Instagram at United Intentions and on Twitter at Higher Intentions. We hope to see you there.
Hey everyone, we're back. I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash, and I'm talking to Anisha, Anand, and we're talking about her being a chef and a whole food chef and somebody who does what's called personal advocacy for wellness, and I love that. Anisha, thank you for being here again today. What are some of the categories? I know you do a whole lot with cooking. What are some of the other categories of living that you address with people?
I would say I usually start with where they want to go, and the categories would be, let's focus on nutrition. And if they are able to do that, then that's great, because nutrition is somewhat the basis of wellness, in my view. And most of the time they're coming to me because they agree with that. And so we do usually start with nutrition, or we start with essential oils. So it's really, they're coming to me with the understanding that they're going to be using either food or essential oils or both, or, a combination, to help them along their wellness journey and goals.
You do a lot as well. I know your food is your love, but you've been doing yoga for many years, as an example. Talk about what are some of your recommendations, or how do you get people back into being more active? I know one of the challenges that I'm having right now is, and I had this great conversation, I've spoken about this in a couple of my other shows, where I was speaking to my kids who love working out, and I've had them working out since they were little kids. And it's so funny. People often say, let me watch what you do, not listen to what you say. Well, I started taking my kids to watch me work out when they were 2 and 3 years old. And, before I knew it, they were like, well, we want to do it too, Daddy. And so they love working out now too. I don't even have to say anything. I never did. They just fell in love with it. And it was one of the greatest ways that we spend time together. So are there ways that you get people to be inspired, particularly during these quarantine times when, for example, I was speaking to my kids one day having this conversation, and I said to them, I made the mistake of saying, gosh, it's kind of hard to train hard in my house. And they went, Dad, we're like a single bedroom home. We are sweating in our living room. Their family room, in other words, where they do everything. I said, touche, I'll be quiet. But how do you get people motivated to get more into activities like maybe yoga or other practices? I know you're a Reiki master, as I recall, too. How do you get them more involved in things like that also can be profound in their impact on how we think, function, feel, and heal?
So again, I start with them and ask them, what is it that brings them back to the state of calm and focus? And for me, I know that is yoga. And I know that's not going to be the same for everybody.
Right.
So we go back to the personalized approach. To me, everybody is like a snowflake. We're all different. And everybody's movement is going to be, again, different.
Right.
Just like the food requirements are going to be different. So again, essential oils can be used to support, the mood that gets you into the mood of movement, maybe supporting motivation. And also we can use nutrition to do the same thing as well. But in the end, they're going to know what the right movement is for them. But like you said, supporting the body. If you're too tired and you're not sleeping right, you're not going to want to exercise.
Yeah.
So it's always going back to the basics. So why is it that you don't want to exercise or do any kind of movement, right? And they'll be like, oh, we haven't slept well in weeks or months. Oh, wait a minute. So why are we even talking about exercise? So the first is calm in breathing, and the next is, are you even sleeping
Right.
well? And so again, applying the nutrition and essential oils to, once we get past the breathing, the sleep, how do we support our body to, get better sleep possibly, and get a better mood to be motivated to go move.
That makes a lot of sense. So in other words, if somebody's not sleeping, they're not going to have enough energy to function in life, to be a parent, to be, running a business, or to clean their house, yet alone to think about going out and doing a workout, yoga or otherwise. It's so funny. I've worked out for so many years, Anisha. I just love it. And it's my church, so to speak. My daughter used to say the gym is my church. That's when I feel peace. That's when I feel calm. That's when I feel invigorated, by the end of my workout. That's where I feel connected. And I love that because it was her place of safety. It was her sanctuary. And, I just assumed that if everybody just jumped into working out, they would fall in love with it like I do. But it isn't true. Because as you mentioned, Anisha, and you have a lot of experience with this, some people are so overwhelmed they can't even think about spending more energy because they don't even have enough energy to get through the day.
Exactly. And also, the whole snowflake thing, it's, like your church is going to the gym. Mine is sort of, I know that when I'm not doing yoga, I'm not grounded. I can't think clearly. So
Right.
I know where I need to go. I need to get back on the mat, or I need to use these essential oils, or I need to use these foods. So if we need to be grounded to think clearly, what are all the tools that we can use before we get to the exercise part, right? And how do we support that? And there's such a thing as grounding foods, and there's such a thing as grounding essential oils.
Exercises and essential oils, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Beautiful. And one of the things that's so neat about yoga is that it's something that can be either very, very vigorous, as I realized by opening my mouth too much when I was much younger. In defense of me, I was very young. Like, in other words, it can be, yoga can be a very difficult workout, but it can also be very, very gentle. And you have everything in between. So if you're feeling really overwhelmed, you can do gentle movements that are calming, that are uplifting, that increase circulation, deep breathing, without overwhelming the body.
Yes, definitely. Actually, I will say that I have experienced the form of yoga called Yoga Nidra. And my teacher that I attended the Yoga Nidra with eventually became my Reiki teacher, but her voice was so soothing. So in this class, you actually don't move at all. And you only lie on the floor in Shavasana, which is, you just relax. And you're there the whole hour. So there is absolutely no movement.
So you're lying on your back, for example?
Yes, you're lying on your back and you're on the floor, and all you have to do, and I'm saying all, but it's actually really hard because you have to just follow the person's voice. So you're listening to your yoga teacher and she is telling you things, and all you have to do is don't move your body, only move your mind. So she will guide you through your whole body without moving your body, but only through your mind.
I'm laughing right now because I think, gosh, that would be really difficult for me.
It is actually really difficult because it's really hard. It's a mind exercise almost, because you can't move. And so, you're thinking, I think I want to stretch my leg and my nose is itchy. And the teacher is asking you to focus on your toes. So you're focusing on your nose when you should be focusing on your toes. And so it's actually amazing if you can just follow the voice and just do what she's saying mentally. I will say I managed to follow her voice, I would say 98% of the time.
That's impressive.
The experience was amazing. It's almost like my body had just floated away.
Wow.
The stress was just gone.
And I think there's so much value to this, because one of the things that still, after this year, I'll be in practice for 30 years. And one of the things that still surprises me some, not as much as it used to, is how disconnected most people are from their experience of self and life. I will do some work on somebody where maybe they can't bend their arm. And I'll say, now bend your arm. Twist your arm. Open and close your hand. How does that feel? I don't know. Well, tune in a minute ago. You couldn't bend your elbow at all. Oh.
Right.
When you came in, you couldn't bend your elbow. You couldn't take your hand and rotate it in this manner. You're doing that fully now. Oh, you're unaware of this? I guess so. And that's so, Anisha, that's so common. So once again, getting back to the basics, having people relearn to connect with who they are and what's going on with their bodies. I love watching babies. Anisha, have you ever seen a baby where they're fascinated when I have a hand? Wow. Look at this thing. How incredible. Have you ever seen that with a baby? Like they first have this awakening, like I have toes. I have fingers. They work. They move. And, somewhere in life, Anisha, we get so disconnected from the ongoings of life that we lose that connection of, wow, I have fingers and they move. My body works. This is beautiful. Right? And so, once again, your wisdom is so profound because you go back to the basics of getting reconnected to yourself as a being, and then yourself in the world, and then yourself connected to others in the world.
Definitely. Connection is so important to even start the healing journey. And I think the connection starts with connecting to our own needs and our own body and understanding what is it that's bothering us, what is going on. And just sometimes it's a matter of, somebody else asking, are you sleeping right? What did you eat for breakfast? What did you eat for lunch? I mean, that's the kind of stuff I just asked them. And I said, I'm going to ask you a lot of personal questions and you're welcome to not answer, but the answering is not just for me. It's actually going to kind of point out that, oh yeah, I forgot to eat breakfast, or yeah, I haven't slept properly in like 6 months, or, I actually don't even, remember when was the last time I ate a vegetable, or, yeah, exactly. So it's a lot of, whoa, what just happened here? Realizations and connecting back to the messages that the body might have been giving us, but we didn't have the time to listen. And, something like Yoga Nidra is forcing us to kind of focus on every square inch of our body for that 1 hour. And there's something else. I don't even know if I can pronounce it right. It's called Feldenkrais. And
Feldenkrais.
Yes.
Feldenkrais. Yes. Wonderful.
Yes.
Body work system. Yes.
Yes. So
it does the same thing. It creates that awareness.
Yes. So it's kind of like we did some almost yoga-like poses, but we only did it on one side of the body. And the teacher's like, no, you're not going to do it on the other side of the body. And my body's screaming for it. It's like, can you please balance me out? So she is asking us, how does it feel? And I said, I want to do it on the other side. She's like, no, that's the whole point of this class, is to prove to you that the body is wanting to balance itself all the time. You just have to listen. And we would do just one step, and I'm just thinking, all I can think of is, I want to do it on the other side, because that's what we do in yoga. We balance it.
Right.
Yes.
Listen, Anisha, we got to take our final break. I can't believe I'm telling you that. You're probably thinking that's impossible. How did it go this fast? As I told you it would. So, folks, I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're listening to the last quarter of the hour of my show, Health Matters. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
If this content resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel at uimedianetwork.org to stay updated with our uncensored shows. Also, like and follow us at UI Media Network on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and almost all your favorite podcasting platforms. Most importantly, if you're being censored on social media, write to us at contact@uimedianetwork.org to get your message out. And remember, keep raising that frequency.
All right, we're back. This always occurs like a little sad for me, Anisha. I'm having so much fun with you. I'm learning from you, growing with you, and I know the people who are listening are, and yet we're down to our final 15 minutes of the show. I'd love, with your permission, to go over some case studies with you. Would that be okay?
Sure, sure.
So I'm going to present some things to you, and I'm sure you've had cases that you can equate to what I'm referencing. What do you say, or what do you do with someone who says to you, for example, Anisha, I know there's a lot I need to do. I know I need to eat better. I know I need to sleep better. I know I need to exercise. I'm too tired. I'm too overwhelmed in life to even know where to begin, or to be even to have a conversation with you about totally changing the way I eat and the way I cook. Where do you go with them? I know you talk to them, but what are some of the things that you've done with people from that? I'm sure you've had people like that. Where do you go with them? How do you help them? And what's the outcome with these people?
So I've had a few cases where they were so overwhelmed, they just didn't know where to start. And, they're not sleeping right. They're having headaches, and, they have a lot of stress from family.
Right.
And it's just so hard to even think straight. And, I usually just say, how about you get one diffuser and you get one blend of essential oils, and just start diffusing that and just start doing your aromatherapy. And then we'll check back after that, So I give them a little bit of homework on educating themselves so that they're using the essential oils safely, because safety is going to be of utmost importance. Of course, and then a little bit of background on how to use it properly. And again, how do I know what essential oil they're going to be drawn to? I just ask them, do you find peace in the garden? Yes. Okay, well, let's start here. And sometimes I don't even ask them, because I've known them for a while now, and I kind of already know,
right?
What does bring them peace. Maybe baking things brings them peace. So I know, okay, let's just start with this essential oil. Just let's see how you go with that. And, I would say 99.99% of the time they come back to me and they say, oh my gosh, this was so amazing. Okay, what do we do next? So they're actually more enthusiastic about taking the next step, whatever that might be. And maybe it's a cooking class.
What is it? Forgive me, Anisha, for interrupting. What does that look like when they say, I'm ready to go to the next step? What kind of things are revealed to them? Do they tell you they have more energy? Do they tell you they're sleeping better? They're more calm? What kind of things do they say?
All of those. I've heard people message me. I've heard people say or message me that they've started sleeping better. They have less physical discomfort. They have a better energy or better mood support. And so they're able to get through the day better. They're maybe even taking less medications, which is sometimes really interesting, because all we did was have them use, a couple of essential oils. So they've stopped using their, discomfort medications as much as they were doing it, maybe cut it in half. So the progress happens at different rates for different people, of course.
Right.
But
sure.
it does happen. And so far, working with hundreds of people, I haven't found people where they just told me that, oh, this is just not working. Like, this is the end. It's very positive for me to see that it does usually work.
It's interesting, and this may be a little offbeat thought, but I the thing that I always think about is, in starting somebody, it takes a single match to light a powder keg, and when that flame hits dynamite, it blows up in a way not befitting of the little flame that ignited the powder keg. Right? Does that make sense? So, in other words,
it does.
Anisha, you can give somebody. I have to share this with you. So I was really struggling because I wasn't able to get massages. I have some real severe injuries that have happened to me fighting and doing heavy weightlifting and running and so forth in my life. And I was a martial artist for many years. And so some of these injuries haunt me. And I couldn't get anybody to massage me because we were all in quarantine. And normally I'm kind of spoiled. I do 2 massages a week. And as long as I do that, get adjusted, maybe do a little acupuncture, dry needling, I'm in good shape. And a friend of mine who I work with is Allison, is her name. She's an NKT practitioner in my office, Allison Pfeiffer. And she said, there's a really great company I work with, Nelson. They make incredible essential oil blends. And I said, okay, I don't know too much about them. I love essential oils. She said, she used this one by a company called doTERRA. It's called Balance. And
oh my
She gave me, Anisha, she gave me this essential oil blend called Balance. And she said, Nelson, have somebody rub this in your back, somebody that you live with, that you're quarantining with. My God. I called her the next day and said, this is incredible. How could this possibly be so effective in releasing the spasms in my back and improving the quality of my ability to stand without being compromised by the pain and the struggle of the muscle spasms? And she said, no offense, Dr. Nelson, but we call it chiropractor in a bottle.
Oh my goodness. It's actually one of my favorite blends.
Yes.
And it's interesting that you are using it for a completely different purpose than I use it for. And that's the beauty of essential oils and our individuality. I can use an essential oil for motivation, and the next person is going to use the same essential oil for sleep.
Right.
And so you're using that essential oil blend Balance, which is a beautiful, beautiful blend. It has trees and has flowers, and
so beautiful.
And so it's very soothing, and that's why you're getting that soothing benefit. But it's also very grounding.
Right.
And I'm using it for the grounding benefit. It's one of my favorite blends. Definitely. So I think when we experience that, it's no doubt that somebody wants to go, okay, what else can I do?
Right. I mean, it was really profound. I'm not kidding you. I'm all transparency. I'm not connected to the company at all. I have many friends who use it, but I was shocked at how quickly it reduced and eventually helped eliminate my pain. I used bottles of it over the
That's amazing.
over the pandemic period. Yeah,
that's
incredible.
An amazing story.
So
that's an amazing story.
So there's so many more questions for you, Anisha, but we're running a little low on time. I want to, before I forget, I always feel badly if we get too caught up and I forget to ask you. Number one, how can people reach out to you? How can people connect with you?
I'm very available on social media. You can contact me on Facebook, Heartful Earth Cuisine. I have a blog, again, Heartful Earth Cuisine. If you just Google Heartful Earth Cuisine, my blog and my Facebook page are going to show up. So I love for people to reach out to me, ask me questions, and I love helping people and I love connecting with people. So my request to you is, if you watch this show with Dr. Nelson, and if you wish to contact me, I would love to hear from you.
Beautiful. Heartful Health Cuisine. Heartful Cuisine. I love that name. All right, now we're getting kind of low with time here, and you and I are going to do many of these shows. By the way, you're so wonderful. I love having you as a guest. Thank you so much, Anisha. I want to ask you what we call your final thoughts. Take a few minutes, and final thoughts is the last real segment of my show where I say to my guests, what are your final thoughts on today's show or today's segment? Meaning, what do you want to leave people with today?
Got it. I would say start somewhere. Start where you feel comfortable. And I always say, this is my journey and this is your journey. So we have to focus on the person and their personal journey. Wellness is completely individual. It's very personal. So the most important thing is to start somewhere, get help, and definitely listen to your body. Get those messages from the body so we know where to start from. And of course, simple tips. It's, what one thing can I do to make my day better? And as we repeat those things every day without overwhelming ourselves, they suddenly just become a part of our lifestyle. 3 weeks pass and I've been doing something for 3 weeks and suddenly it's helping me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So it doesn't take much time, does it? Our bodies are so resilient, so flexible, and so adaptive. Anisha, and you pointed that out. It's like, if we only knew how important just getting started is. I remember, I used to do a lot of work with athletes, and I had people that would say to me, gosh, Dr. Nelson, would you train me? And of course, I got to the point where most of the athletes I was working with were state, national, and world-class athletes. So there came a time where I just didn't have enough time physically to train everybody who wanted me to. Now there's still a handful of people from my practice that I'll say, meet me at the gym and I'll teach you some things. But it's so interesting because one of the excuses over the years, the many years that I've done this, and I actually loved working out so much. I was training, coaching my friends when I was 12 and 13 years old. My dad started me exercising when I was 4. I fell in love with it. I was a natural at it. And so my friends would say, Nelson, train me, teach me. I want to have muscles, or I want to be strong like you. How do I do that? And so that's been a love of mine for decades. And the one thing that so few people get is if you just find a point to anchor your courage, to anchor your discipline, your focus, that you can change the whole direction, the whole quality of your life, Anisha. That it's just sometimes about getting in the game of life and not being that person who wants to be in life, but you're caught sitting in the stands where there's no real view, there's no real game for you to play, right? The game is meant to be actively participated in life, right? You can't have a great life and be somebody who's in the stands waiting to observe yourself, not doing something in life to have a fantastic life. The deal is at some point you got to get out of the stands and you got to say, here, I'm going to do this. And there's so many opportunities. You're the first person I've ever met who's a personal wellness advocate. I was so excited to have you on the show today, and you're so wonderful. You did such a great job, and I appreciate you. And I'm gonna sneak you into other shows because you have a lot of things that somebody can do, like the idea of using an essential oil. I was shocked that day I put that Balance Blend by doTERRA on, and I blinked my eye, and all of a sudden, half an hour later, the pain was 30 or 40% reduced. So your message of just getting started is fantastic. I think you're an amazing person. I love what you do. And one of the things I hope you do is give me some of your recipes so I can announce them on my show and, teach people about that. That would be fantastic. Or on my page, my personal page. Anisha, I'm going to put you on hold for a second. I want to thank you. You were fantastic. It was such a privilege and an honor to have you on the show today. I hope you remain safe. I've got to close out the show. And I hope you'll hang on for a minute so I can thank you more personally when I complete the show. Is that doable for you?
Yes. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. Folks, I'm going to be here again. Remember, I'm now on 10 different TV platforms, so we're going live. I got 60 seconds to round this out. I'll be here 2 weeks from today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook Live. I'm now on Roku TV. I'm on Apple TV. I'm on Android TV. I'm on Amazon Fire. It's exciting to do this at this time, particularly when there's so much change in the world, and to be part of fostering, creating more hope and possibility. I just got funding for a docuseries that I'm going to be doing here in the near future. I'm really excited about that. And my guests are my sponsors. In 2 weeks, I'm going to have the CEO of Specialty, which is a group that started out making office furniture, customized office furniture, and they're amazing. And then they had to pivot during the pandemic, and now they have the 3 pillars of safety that we're going to talk about in bringing people safely back to the workplace, safely back to school, safely back to elder care facilities. And we're going to talk about what they've done, which is going to change the entire way we see health in these places. It's going to be a very, very engaging conversation. So until then, always be your best, and join me in 2 weeks at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Health Matters with Dr. Nelson Bulmash, where we help you discover how to ignite your mind, body, and spirit connection. Join us next time when we will bring you more exciting guests and engaging topics. Meanwhile, feed your mind, exercise your body, and nurture your spirit. The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests.